Hi, my name is Lance. Welcome to the Noglog. We're going to do a full ship tour of the Carnival Luminosa. We're going to go deck by deck, top to bottom, front to back, show you everything this beautiful ship has to offer. If you find this video informative, smash that like button, subscribe to the Noglog if it's your first time visiting, and thanks for coming to take a tour with us.
The Carnival Luminosa was actually an Italian-made ship for Italian cruise line Costa, which is a sister company of Carnival Cruise Line here in America. It was renamed and rebranded to the Carnival Luminosa in the fall of 2022, and so throughout this tour, we'll point out some of those lingering characteristics from the Costa brand that didn't transfer over when they refurbished it for Carnival. We'll take a look here on the top deck, deck 11. There is tons of space all along this ship. The naturalists on board will help guide passengers throughout the transit of the inside passage, putting out wildlife and unique scenery along the way. So these doors here take you into the forward elevator bank and stairwell. Of course, there's a shower and all these loungers bundled up, not used here during Alaska sailings. This forward section is a great place to be as high as you could be to watch the entrance of the ship into different ports that you'll be going into here in Alaska. If you don't want to brave the cold outside, you could actually watch the forward-facing camera that's available on your stateroom TV. That's actually located right up here. Because it's actually set back here with public area in front of it, you could actually be on that TV as you go through. We had some fun with that, as you can see here. So this front section is pretty symmetrical to the opposite side, so this is a great time to explain about our ship tours. If you haven't seen one of our ship tours before, you'll notice the navigation icon on the screen travels with us as we go through each of the decks. We do that for you, the viewer, so you know exactly where you're going, where you're coming from, and what might be around the next corner. So being that this ship travels from Australian waters and then into Alaska waters, it needs the flexibility to have a Lido deck that can withstand that environmental change. So here in the Alaska sailings, the Luminosa's roof over the Lido will stay closed. When it heads south for Australia, they will retract it and it will be open air just like any other ship. If you've sailed on Carnival Spirit class ships before, so that's the Spirit, the Legend, the Pride, and the Miracle, then the Luminosa's layout will feel very familiar to you. Technically, it's a little bit bigger, but not by much. So you can see they do have a few loungers out in case you do want to brave the cooler temperatures and enjoy the fresh Alaskan air. These stairs take you down to deck 10 below, just above the Lido area. We'll see those when we are on deck 10 in a moment. Next up is the jogging track. It is the smallest jogging track I've actually seen on a cruise ship. Never used it to jog, but we did come out here late at night to enjoy the fact that it's still sunny even after midnight. They try to prepare you, but add in the time change from coming from Central Time Zone or possibly even Eastern Time Zone. It's just a crazy feature of these Alaskan cruises that you need to stay up late for or set your alarm for at least one night to go and experience. Now, we always do these deck tours from the top to the bottom. So we started as high as you can go, deck 11. But technically, you can go to deck 12 in two areas of the ship. Now, Carnival's official ship maps doesn't have this particular section available on their deck 12 layout, but this is normally what you would just call a sun deck. For this purpose, though, it's nice to be able to bounce back and forth quickly at a little bit higher viewpoint when you're trying to maybe spot animals in the ocean or take in some of the scenery as you head through places like the Inside Passage or the Tracy Arm Fjord. You can see just behind here is the glass ceiling of the atrium that we'll see as we go through many of the decks along this tour. If you haven't had the pleasure of sailing on a Spirit class ship before, then you'll notice that atrium is in the middle, almost even the back of the ship, not in the forward section. Definitely something we had to get used to, with this being our first time on a Spirit class ship. So the tiny jogging track will continue around that way. We don't need to see the other side. As we head further back, you'll see some stairs that take you down to deck 10 below. And we'll scoot along towards after the ship here on deck 11, because there's some cool features here in the back. Each side does contain these little platforms with some viewing binoculars available for anybody to use. And you can see a small sports court, not full size, just half court. We'll head up these stairs. Now this is what Carnival actually deems as deck 12. Just this back section here, but it's really no different than what we saw above. So I'm not sure why they had just this one section for deck 12. And due to the transfer from Costa to Carnival, of course, you do not get that classic whale tail shaped smokestack. So this sun deck here, again, no loungers out here in Alaska, but it does the same job as the sun deck we were on earlier. Allows you to kind of see just a little bit higher vantage point on both sides of the ship. We'll head back down, and then halfway up to these sections here. Again, with these binoculars, these were great for sightseeing. The first one of each one has a nice little platform for the short ones and youngsters to step up and use them. You'll get a quick preview looking out the aft of deck 11 of the sunset bar below, and then the Serenity area that's on deck 9. We'll finish things off, head to the middle section here of deck 11 here in the aft to get that beautiful wake view before we head down to deck 10 back in the forward part of the ship. So here in the forward part of deck 10 is Camp Ocean and the fitness center that's included as part of your cruise fare. You can take these stairs to go up to deck 11 where we started the ship tour. We'll visit Camp Ocean on the way out. But we'll head over here to the starboard side of the ship and check out the men's and women's locker rooms in case you want to shower and change before or after a workout. Now I can't show you the ladies' locker room, but we'll go ahead and take a tour of the men's locker room. You can see some sinks, toilets, blow dryers. I don't need those. Showers, of course. Plenty of clean towels available. Lots of locker room space for you to use. There also is a complimentary sauna located in here. Decent size, nothing special, but it is included as part of your cruise fare. Each of the men's and women's locker rooms have access to their own sauna. There is an additional larger sauna available to guests using the spa. We'll see that on the deck below. Exiting the locker room, you'll head forward towards the fitness area. And to the right, you'll see a fitness studio used for cycling classes, yoga classes, different things of that nature. These are an additional charge. If you do have a spa room, you can have a couple of these included on your sailing. Entering the actual fitness studio, you see a wealth of machines available. The fitness center is usually open 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Check your fun times, check your hub app. And again, it is included as part of your cruise fare, so anybody can access this equipment as long as they are 18 or older. Lots of cardio machines in the back. They do include some TVs with the limited Carnival TV menu that you can find in your stateroom. Past these treadmills, you'll see some windows down into the 2-story open air hydrotherapy pool that's part of the Cloud9 spa. Here on embarkation day, it looks like they're just doing some routine maintenance on it, so it's drained, so we won't get to see that when we tour the spa below. As we loop around, you'll see there is a closed off door here. This actually takes you to some stairs and elevator that'll take you down into the spa as well as to this relaxation lounge area that's located as part of the spa. So we won't be able to see that here today. But as we go around the corner, you'll see the free weight section here. There was a weight scale in here. I want to say unfortunately it wasn't working, but maybe fortunately it was not working. So we'll head back to where we started the tour here on deck 10 forward, the men and women's locker rooms. We'll head across the hallway and we'll come up to the entrance of Camp Ocean. Camp Ocean is the place where young cruisers can hang out with other cruisers of their same age. They do divide them into appropriate groups. There's turtles for ages 0 to 2, penguins for ages 2 to 5, stingrays are 6 to 8, and ages 9 to 11 are the sharks. In a little bit, we'll get to see on the ship where the teenagers get to hang out. They have their own spaces available for them. Every time we picked our daughter up from this area, she was having a blast. They were always doing very active things, games, crafts, projects, team singing competitions. She was always having a blast. She probably visited Camp Ocean more on this cruise per capita than any other sailing before on Carnival. The youth staff always do such a great job, no matter the ship. Once again, bravo to the Camp Ocean staff here on the Luminosa. So that wraps up things here in the front part of deck 10. We'll actually head towards the mid part of the ship. I want to say it's outside, although technically with the roof covering, it's still inside. We'll see there are some restrooms available here at this exit. And this exit was the most bizarre thing I think I've ever seen so far on a cruise ship that doesn't really matter. And it's the way they design these doors to pull apart when they open. They don't need to be this way, but it's just funky that they designed it that way. I want to take this time to point out that all the public bathrooms on this ship are automatic. This shot here is from the bathrooms outside the Luminosa Theater down on deck 2. You just wave your hand in front of the sensor and the doors retract into the side of the wall. Bathrooms are small enough on cruise ships, so no clunky door in and out into someone's face, and your freshly washed hands don't have to touch a handle, so pretty nice. Back up to deck 10 though. At the forward section here on the starboard side, you can see this giant chessboard. This is commonly found on many other Carnival cruise ships. Our daughter's currently just learning to play chess, so it was fun to hit this up every once in a while. We even brought in some other kids and did a kids versus grown-ups battle on embarkation day. These stairs take you down to deck 9 below. Lots of seating available on both sides. We're not going to walk along both, but I'll give you a glance down here on the starboard side. We'll scoot over back to the port side because if you noticed a while ago, there were some kids enjoying the ping pong table here. Not the only ping pong table, there's going to be one that you'll see just coming up in a few moments. So if table tennis is your thing, they've got you covered. Let's peer over the edge down to the Lido deck below. Just a sneak peek. We'll go into more detail on deck 9 of all the activities happening down here, but pretty big space for this size ship. You can see the sunlight does come in here pretty well. Keeps this area pretty warm. This area was never too cold, too chilly with the roof covered. Even these windows that do open up here along the side in case you want some of that fresh air coming in. Things never really got that chilly in this area. I wanted to try to open it right there as I was filming, but unfortunately with my hand on the camera and holding the pointer, I couldn't get this one open. Picked the wrong one to try. One thing I did not like was that in this space right here, there's no stairs to take you from deck 10 to deck 9. You have to go all the way to the front if you want to come from this area here in midship down to deck 9. Normally you see that on ships this size, but this just has those forward ones. Not a huge deal, but when you take as many steps as we do on these cruises, it's nice to cut corners any way you can. I mentioned the other ping pong table. We'll pass by that in just a second. I did want to show you that door that leads up to deck 11. When we were up on the deck above, you might recall us peeking down that stairwell for just a moment. If I can open the door here. Might be a good time for sunglasses. It's a pretty bright white day here in the inside passage of Alaska. We'll loop around and see that area that we just passed in just a moment. You can see there's tables up here in case you want to bring any food down from the buffet up to deck 10 below. On this side, you've got some foosball tables and a billiards table. So plenty of stuff to help you pass the time on some of those longer sea days as you head up to Alaska or on your way back home to Seattle. And for the folks sailing down in Australia, any of the sea days you have down under. Now, because you're watching this ship tour here on the Nog Vlog, you're going to be prepared to know what doors to use to get to where you want to go. Through these double doors takes you to an inside hallway. You'll find the men's restrooms here on the starboard side and the women's restrooms on the opposite side, the port side. There are restrooms all over this ship if you haven't noticed. They do not want you to have a full bladder here on the Luminosa. Passing the midship elevator bank and stairwell and the midship glass elevators that go up and down the atrium, you'll find the Fahrenheit 555 steakhouse. For an additional fee, make a reservation to have a nice 3-course meal. And just after our sailing, they actually introduced a complimentary pasta bar for lunch here in the steakhouse, so make sure you check that out. We were planning on actually making a reservation here, but we were kind of glad we didn't because of the way this is designed around the atrium. You hear everything that goes on down below. My first concern was just the noise coming from the Lido area on deck 9. However, the bigger concern is the music that comes up from deck 2. Here's an unedited, unaltered clip of what the sound was like from deck 9 on the Lido area, and you can see how close we are to the people eating at the steakhouse above. Maybe that's not a big deal to you, but for us that was a no-go. You'll see there is a bar here in the steakhouse. You don't have to have reservations to visit that bar. And funny thing is, they have a piano in here, so maybe they actually have someone in here playing piano, but even still, that would conflict with the sounds and the music coming up from the lobby on deck 2. If you're sailing on the Luminosa soon and dining at the steakhouse, let us know after your trip if they had the piano bar entertainer or some other type of performer come up and play the piano for you during your meal. We're going to head and loop around to deck 10. We just came in from the starboard side, so we'll go back out these doors through the port side. Meet back up with that second ping pong table that we saw earlier. They got their window open, so they do work. So here on this outside, you can see the windows tinted for the steakhouse diners inside. And as we move towards the back, you might recall this set of stairs taking you up to deck 11. We saw that just a little bit earlier. Now this area down here is the designated farmer's tan section. I mean, the designated smoking section. Sorry, I had to do it. If you didn't catch it, you gotta rewind because that farmer's tan belongs in a museum. It is something to look at. This next little area here looks like it's a bar, but it actually was the F1 simulator reservation desk, with that simulator being in the room next door. They have repurposed it into a smoker's area to enjoy your smoke break a little bit more protected from the elements outside. However, on embarkation day, because of refueling, you can't smoke anywhere around the ship. They had it blocked off. But as you can imagine, for Alaska sailings, it gets its full use, keeping the smokers a little bit warmer and a little bit drier depending on the weather outside. Now back to that F1 simulator that they did not carry over from Costa to Carnival. It's actually still here. It's located behind this wall. You can kind of sort of see it here through my camera. Here's a clip of it I found from when it was active in the Costa Luminosa days. Too bad they don't have this. I would absolutely love to play this. I'm not sure why they discontinued it from the transition from Costa to Carnival, but I would hope that they either plan to do something different maybe with this area, put something new in here. If not, let us race the F1 car. It would be fun. So here you see the sunset bar, which encompasses the back here of deck 10. There's stairs down below to the Serenity area on deck 9. We'll see that in a moment. You've got stairs taking you up to deck 11. I want to point out something about the bars on this ship. Because the Luminosa first sailed under Carnival down in Australia before this Alaska season, they have leftover beverages from that Australian contract. That includes Australian beers and even Coke products, even though Pepsi is the vendor for Carnival here in America. Of course, those aren't a guarantee. Check with each bar, check with your server. Beautiful piece of art here at the sunset bar here on deck 10. Looping around to the starboard side, stairs up to 11, stairs down to 9, just like the port side. On this side, instead of the smoking area, you've got the teens area for Club O2. Now, this is the older teens area, ages 15, 16, and 17. We have a nice little outdoor seating area in case they want to use that. Well, I couldn't film the inside portion of Club O2, but you can see from these pictures it's pretty small inside. In between Club O2 and the smoking section on the port side is a small hallway that leads to a set of stairs that only goes down to deck 9 below. And you can also see there's no elevator access here on deck 10 here in the aft part of the ship. Something to consider if you're in the aft part of the ship down low and want to take an elevator to, say, the smoking area, Club O2, Sunset Bar, or the putting green, which is right around the corner. Now, this is not like many of the other miniature golf courses that you see on the Carnival cruise ships. This is just a open area, free-for-all, practice some putts. It's not very smooth. It's mostly just for messing around and having some fun. We messed around a little bit on embarkation day, but we never came back. Now, if you're having some fun with this ship tour, if you're learning something about the Carnival Luminosa, smash that like button. It helps the video out. It lets YouTube know, hey, other people can learn from this video as well. And that's what we want to do. Spread the knowledge to anybody and everybody that's either booked on the Carnival Luminosa or thinking about booking a trip on the Carnival Luminosa. So we're passing the steakhouse now that we were in just a moment ago. You may recall this door was at that fork in the road where we went inside through the double doors. Here, this single door will take us, yep, you guessed it, right back to that billiards table. So that concludes deck 10. We're going to head down, start deck 9, back in the front of the ship. This is where we're going to tour the Cloud 9 Spa. See there, the beauty salon. We'll actually finish the spa tour on that side. On the port side, you'll find the reservation desk, the waiting area for the Cloud 9 Spa. Always encourage you to take the tour on embarkation day. I stopped to ask them if it was okay if I just walk through without all the frills of the explanations. This first hallway here is mainly treatment rooms. The men's and ladies' locker room here on the right-hand side. We saw from up above from the fitness center. I'll peek down to the hydrotherapy pool. You can see they're still working on that, so we can't go in and check it out. We'll move right past to the next section. Further around the corner, we'll pass those spiral stairs that take you up to the fitness center, and we'll enter the rock sauna. So this is that larger sauna that I mentioned is available to passengers with Cloud 9 Spa access. Different than the saunas that are included to all passengers, this one would be multi-gender, while the sauna we saw upstairs is only accessible through the respective locker room that you have access to. You can see there's a back entrance here into the tepidarium. This is going to be your steamier room with these heated relaxation loungers. Again, this is nice and large. One thing about the Luminosa coming over from Costa and Italy is they love their spa experience, and so this spa here on the Luminosa is very, very large in comparison to other ships of this size in this class. Right outside, you'll find the experience shower. This presents different types of water sequences with different chromatotherapy and various aromas to create just a unique experience for rinsing off. There is a door to the outside. I don't know if this is public access or not. I guess that's my fault for asking to do this on my own, but we're all learning here. Next up is the Laconium. So this is similar with the heated loungers, but this is going to be a little bit more dry of a atmosphere, so not as steamy. We'll exit the Laconium, and right next door you'll find the Aroma Steam Room. Not here during spa tour day, but you can imagine this place full of steam and full of delightful aromas that will please your senses. Right next door to that is the Razul. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Roast me in the comments if I'm not. I haven't seen this on other Carnival ships. This, I believe, is the mud room, so you can kind of get yourself all dirty with mud and let the steam slowly melt that away, and I guess remove all the toxins, or who knows what it actually truly does deep down inside those pores of yours. But if you've experienced the Razul, let me know if I'm pronouncing it wrong in the comments, and let me know if I've even explained it properly here on this ship tour. I would greatly appreciate it. Across the hall is the relaxation room, one of the two relaxation rooms. There's another one upstairs on deck 10. They had it closed off, so we weren't able to step in there and take a look at it. I would imagine it's very similar to this space here, which just allows you to prepare for your upcoming treatment or cool down from maybe a massage or therapy that you just had in the spa. Clean towels available as you enter here on this starboard side. We saw the beauty salon when we first started. Around this hallway, you see there's separate rooms for some of the facial treatments as well as the manicures or pedicures you might receive. Looks like additional manicure and pedicure treatments available here in the larger salon space. Of course, any hairstyling will be done here as well, all coming to you with a gorgeous view outside the ship. So that concludes our tour of the Cloud9 Spa, beauty salon, and all the facilities available to you here. Fortunately, we can't comment on the levels of service that you can get at any of these. We didn't partake, but we'll continue heading further aft on the ship on deck 9, entering the Lido area that we've seen just a few times before from up above. You'll see that same angled doorway, although this one doesn't open and meet in the middle like above. There's separate doors on either side, so who knows what the architect and engineers were thinking. They did mimic the restroom layout as above, so you'll find all of those available to you here. So they have the loungers set out here facing the TV screen behind me. We'll take a look at that in just a second. You can see even with the roof closed, lots of light in here. Throughout the day, they set up tables up here to do additional sales. T-shirts, here they've got purses. Another day they had binoculars. DJ will be here on the stage getting things ready for the parties. The screen above will typically have movies at the nighttime that you can come out and watch. You got the stairs taking you up to deck 11 here. Lots of tables and chairs for any food that you might have grabbed from any of the restaurants or buffet that we'll see here in just a moment. They'll clear out all of these loungers for any of the sail away or other deck parties. Just because you're in Alaska doesn't mean you can't have a good time. With this roof covered, you can come out and enjoy the evening parties here on the Lido deck when the sun goes down, or almost goes down. I think these loungers here always stay no matter the deck party, so if you want to grab something, I would recommend these. They've got a pretty large pool and a pair of whirlpools. Just like any other Carnival ship, kids pretty much dominate these whirlpools on the Lido, so just be advised. But the large pool, again, with it being warm in here, was definitely something our 7-year-old took advantage of on this trip. And just on the back part of the Lido here, you've got the Red Frog Rum Bar, very familiar favorite of Carnival cruises. Around the corner on this port side is tacos and burritos, practically identical to Blue Iguana Cantina, just a different name. For us, we could have done a blind taste test and not been able to tell any difference. Don't be scared of the different name of tacos and burritos. It's exactly like Blue Iguana Cantina. Similar to the other side, you've got tables and chairs for eating. Drink station on both sides here on the Lido area. So that's where you can get your free water, juice, tea, and coffee. On the starboard side, you'll find Off the Grill. This would be the burger establishment comparable to Guy Fieri's burger joint found on many other Carnival ships. Not quite the same. I think it's a step down. They're still decent burgers, decent toppings. The menu is just a little bit different. We found it just a little bit inconsistent. Sometimes the burgers were overdone. They don't have the donkey sauce. So if you're huge Guy's fans for some of the very specific items off the Guy's burger joint menu, you'll probably be a little bit disappointed. If you're starving and just need a burger, you'll do just fine at Off the Grill. So next we're going to enter the Lido Marketplace, and you can actually, just like above, go through two different types of doors to get there. Going to this inside route takes you to the restrooms. Eventually you'll meet at the same place. This hallway takes you to the midship elevators and stairwell. And you can connect over to the port side in case you want to find your family over there, or maybe hide from your family over there on that side. And another nice convenient passage over to the port side. Another look in the atrium, you can see the steakhouse above us here on deck 10. And a peek down below as we get closer and closer to the lobby level. So typically this area here is the most congested. For breakfast, this area will contain pastries and fruit. During lunch and dinner, it will have fruits and desserts. Here's the deli and Pizzeria del Capitano. We'll loop around and take a closer look at those in just a little bit. Now you might find the layout for this buffet area a little bit different than other Carnival cruises, but it's easy to get used to, and overall it never really was a problem or led to any long lines that we experienced. If you hit peak times, you're going to have a little bit of a wait maybe, but otherwise it shouldn't be too bad. This first bay here in the starboard side is chopsticks, and so it will have typically a Asian cuisine during lunch and dinner time. It was absolutely delicious. No, it's not 5-star Oriental dining, but I found myself going back for seconds. It was definitely a highlight of the Lido Marketplace. Across that, you'll find your drink station. Across from chopsticks is a drink station. Get your water, coffee, tea. One downside of this trip was that just about every single ice machine was not working. So they would put out ice, but sometimes that would run out. It's not that much of an inconvenience to have to scoop your ice versus the automated machine. If you're carrying a plate or multiple plates for your kid or wanted to go get multiple drinks, it's nice to be able to just put your cup under that automated ice machine and have it work. Here you just have to scoop it. So plan accordingly when you're at the buffet if that is not yet fixed on the Carnival Luminosa. More standard buffet bays further down. Additional buffet bays further down serving dinner and breakfast. At breakfast time, they have omelet stations at all of these bays. So just be on the lookout. You don't just have to use the deli omelet station. You can see here access to the aft elevator bank and stairwell. And as we exit through these doors, we'll enter the Serenity Adult Only Retreat. Adult only means 18 and up. So kids, go find something else to do. Don't get in trouble. Let us alone. We want to relax. Grab yourself a towel from the towel station here. Just make sure you return it so you don't get charged for it. Here you see the Serenity Bar serving up a nice cold beverage. Although on Alaska sailing out here outdoors, you might not be wanting a cold beverage too often. There were some mild days where you could go t-shirt and jeans, but even still it would be pretty chilly with the wind added in. We actually said, hey, we're on an Alaska sailing, we got to enjoy this. Let's go brave the coldest temperatures of the northernmost port, Skagway. And as we left that area through the Chilkoot Inlet, we just enjoyed those beautiful views from the hot tub here in Serenity area. Tons of loungers, tons of clamshells available for you to enjoy. When I'm doing these ship tours, I always try to get one perfect center shot of the wake. Let's see if we can find an empty clamshell space to get that for you here. A few just opened up, so I can actually show you what these clamshells look like from the inside. Later on, as we were sailing out towards the end of our trip, we definitely enjoyed these clamshells. Like I said, you're going to need to bundle up, but the fresh air and the beautiful wake views are something you don't want to miss. That pretty much covers Serenity, so we'll hurry on up to the next little venue, and that's going to be Old Fashioned Barbecue. It's flanked with another drink station. Before we go check out the barbecue place, we'll say goodbye to our lonely Serenity bartender. Come visit him on your sailing. He gets lonely back here when it's cold. So the Old Fashioned Barbecue is open every single day of the sailing, port days and sea days, but only for lunchtime. Old Fashioned Barbecue's on a few of the older ships. Some of the newer ships that have Guy Fieri's Pig and Anchor Smokehouse will have some of the same type of food items. Not a big taste difference, honestly, between the two. Our one-time eating here, we found everything pretty average. Definitely nothing stood out and said I need to come back and visit it again another time. One thing to note is in the evenings, they do use this area for a serving station for kids from Camp Ocean that are not eating with their parents. They'll prep all the kids' meals here and have them ready to go to serve come 6 o'clock when those kids are checking in. You will not check in at Camp Ocean if you're dropping your kid off at that time. You bring them straight to this area in the very back of the Lido Marketplace right here, so they can start their dinner, and then they'll take them up to Camp Ocean later after dinner concludes. This area of the Lido Marketplace is just similar to the opposite side. You'll find the same food as the bay of the starboard side here on the port side. These counters on the outside typically had some of your salad items as well as your desserts. Just like Chopsticks is on the starboard side, you have the seafood corner, which is comparable to the well-known Seafood Shack on other Carnival ships. This is an additional cost restaurant serving market-priced seafood dishes. You can take a look at the menu here and see it's very familiar to that of the Seafood Shack found on other Carnival ships. Just a few more things to show you here in the Lido Marketplace. I do want to point out the theming of the area with these Tuscan-style villas and houses. You'll see it all over the place, surrounding the poles, on the tables, along the walls, even here in these storage drawers and in these glass panels. Just a nice, subtle, cohesive touch to bring some life to the Lido Marketplace. So as you can tell from the cut in the footage, we're in that congested area of the Lido Marketplace. I wanted to give you one closer look at the deli, as well as the Pizzeria del Capitano. My meatball sub that I usually get at least once a sailing wasn't all that great, but I did try, I think, the steak and cheese, and it was delicious. So hit or miss for me here at the deli. Can't say that for the pizza place. Every time I got pizza here, it was delicious. For you night owls, the deli stayed open until 11 p.m. each night, and the pizza place until 4 a.m. each morning. Either of these doors will take you out to tacos and burritos. There's restrooms around the corner there. And we're back to those midship elevator and stairs. Now decks 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and 1 are all stateroom decks, so you won't see any of those on this ship tour. So that means deck 3 is next. We're going to be in the forward elevator bank area, and we're facing aft currently. We'll turn around and you can see some doors to the outside. There's an outer deck on both sides of this ship on deck 3. Just forward of this area is the port side entrance to the Luminosa Theater, as well as some restrooms. Since this door is closed, we're going to head back to the starboard side. We'll show you the outside at the very end of Deck 3 tour, but you'll find doors all over this deck to be able to access that outside area. The Luminosa Theater will be the host of a multitude of events across your sailing. The majority of the seating is located on Deck 2, so we'll go over those in more detail when we tour the deck below in a few minutes. Entering the Luminosa Theater on Deck 3, you see there's plenty of seating, all with a pretty good vantage point, as long as you don't have to sit behind a pole. Each of the seats up here does contain a cup holder, which is nice. It was never hard to find seats for shows down on Deck 2, so we never found a reason to really need to sit up here on Deck 3. This next area contains a lot of different things, so we're going to hit them all pretty quick. Of course, you've got restrooms just outside the theater. You've got an ATM and your sail and sign kiosk in case you want to check your balance or add money to your account. Through that glass door there on the left is actually some stairs down to Deck 2. We'll see that when we're down below. Next up is the Limelight Lounge. This is going to be your comedy club in the evenings. It also was host to the art auctions, as well as some adult variety games in the evenings. Be advised, the venue is small, so don't arrive at the show start time expecting to get a seat. You will not be able to find one. Those familiar with Carnival will know the next venue here, Cherry on Top. This is going to be your candy store. Not really a store because it's just here at the end of the counter of the Java Blue Cafe. Of course, Java Blue is your additional cost specialty coffee shop, which also serves pastries and other small breakfast items in the mornings. Plenty of seating with a nice view outside. One last thing to note, this is the area where you'll pick up your luggage tags if you are not doing self-assist disembarkation. The next few venues will be your Galleria shops. If you have the shopping bug, you can come and visit these. There are specialty items for the Alaska sailings here that say Alaska on them, that say some of the port names on them, as well as items that maybe you just forgot to pack because you just didn't know what to pack for your Alaska cruise. One thing I found in here, I don't know if it's unique to the Luminosa versus other Carnival ships, but there was a fitting room to actually try some things on. So that's pretty unique. Across the hall, you'll see some of the finer jewelry, fragrances, beauty products, etc. And I think because this is Alaska sailing, there wasn't an opportunity for them to sell liquor, but they do have plenty of tobacco products, as well as your normal sundries and snacks. Similar to what I mentioned about the bars, some of the snacks that they have left over are from their Australia contract. So check that out in case they still have some items left over from down under. You'll see a consultation area for the Dream Studio. This is the specialized photography session you could do for an additional cost to get portraits of your family. We'll see the actual studio for these Dreams photos in a little bit. Don't get fooled by this mirror, it's not a walkway. Hello. As we transition towards the middle of the ship, we'll approach the Pixels Gallery. This encompasses the entire middle section here of Deck 3 surrounding the atrium. Those midship elevators are found here, stairwell up and down here, some more doors to the outer deck of 3. But let's head into that Pixels photo gallery and take a look at everything it has to offer. You'll come up here to check out those photos from earlier in the day or the days prior and decide which ones you think might be keepers. Be advised, it could get a little crowded here towards the end of the cruise, so make sure you're checking your photos every once in a while and picking out the ones that you might end up purchasing at the end of the cruise. We'll take a sneak peek down to the lobby area and the statue of Donna. More on her to come. Indeed, I'm sure you're curious if you haven't heard about good old Donna down on Deck 2. We'll come back to the Carnival store in just a bit. I want to loop around and catch some items that we didn't talk about around the corner. Of course, you got some stairs taking you down to Deck 2 here. Very convenient. Oh, Donna. Sorry, I'm not going to sing the song for you. You don't need that torture. I mentioned the Dream Studio is over here. You can also purchase other camera gear here from the Pixel Studio. The ship is not equipped with the digital Pixels version, which will allow you to see the photos on your phone, nor can you view them in this area through a tablet kiosk and order them. Here's what we did at the very end. We picked all of our favorites, threw away the culls, and then had to make a decision here on which ones we wanted to go with. As we circle around the atrium, behind the Pixels area here on the starboard side is the library. Small but suitable for this size ship. You can come in here, borrow a book, return it before you depart. If you're done with your own book that you brought, you can even leave it for someone else on a future sailing if you're so inclined. They do also have some board games in here. There's pretty limited space and seating in here, so just like the books, you can borrow the games. Just make sure you return it all when you're done, and definitely before the end of the cruise. Right next door to that is that Circle C Kids Club for ages 12 to 14. Unfortunately, it was locked and we weren't able to take a tour inside of that. We're going to speed back around because we did pass up the Carnival store. Now this is where you're going to get your Carnival branded logo merchandise and gear. Might say it's a little dark in here, and I would agree. They couldn't get the lights to work in this store for most of the sailing, so not sure if that's fixed yet or not. They did have Alaska specific items in here as well. And as we head towards the aft of the ship, we will pass a few things. This piano here was just staged for photography. No one actually plays it here on deck 3. You'll see lots of seating here in case you wanted to grab a drink from the nearby Alchemy Bar or step out from the Altair nightclub, which is located through these doors here. The Altair nightclub is mainly located on deck 2. There's a balcony level here on deck 3. Here's a shot from up on deck 3. We'll show you more of that down on deck 2. I mentioned the Alchemy Bar, a Carnival staple and Carnival favorite for many guests. You can get great custom cocktails using only fresh ingredients and the finest of spirits, either from the menu or get something custom created by one of the mixologists. I always like to point out the Alchemy Bars that have stools that move are better than the ones that don't. And they've got that here for you on the Luminosa. Next up, you'll see the final set of doors that take you out to deck 3 on the starboard side. We'll be going out there in just a moment. Looks like they have the famous Dr. Seuss breakfast going on in the Villa restaurant. So let's head in and check out the Villa restaurant here on deck 3. Now, this is the main dining room. This is your dinner each night that's included in your cruise fare. There were some specialty lunch menus available here that we have never seen before. So normally there's a port day breakfast and a sea day brunch. On this Alaska sailing, they had some very specific lunch specials. And the menus were items we've never had before, and they were very, very tasty. We actually didn't notice that till a little bit further into the sailing because we didn't know to look for it. We just assumed we were going to eat lunch elsewhere on the ship. So definitely check your hub app, go through the dining section, and see what menus are available to you on what days to be prepared for that. One thing you might notice about this restaurant is all the serving stations are off to the side. They're not mixed in amongst the tables. And that creates just a little bit different atmosphere in these main dining rooms. You don't have all the commotion and maybe even clunkiness of that going on all over the restaurant. It's kind of isolated to these aisles. They also had this piano up here on deck 3, but we were down closer to the windows on deck 2. So unfortunately, I can't confirm if anybody was playing this piano during the dinners. On our sailing in June of 2023, folks with Anytime Dining had reservations down on deck 2, and deck 3 of the Villa restaurant was utilized for passengers with set time dinings of early and late. We'll turn around, we'll head back finally outside some of these starboard side doors here and check out this outside deck. Unfortunately, you can't take this all the way back around to the aft of the ship. It's blocked off for crew only. You can see it's actually crew smoke break time around the corner here. I want to note this starboard side is going to be muster station A. The port side is going to be muster station B, and that's it. That's the only muster stations the ship has. So you're either on the starboard side or the port side. So very easy to find your muster station when you board. It's just either on the starboard side or the port side, A or B. For us, when the Luminosa was in Juneau, we were the 5th ship and the odd man out as far as pier locations. What does that mean? The 5th ship does not have a port available to them, which means you'll have to take these water shuttles that are actually stored above us here on deck 3 to tender in to the port and back. I don't think it happens that often, but be prepared. It could be a possibility you have to use water shuttles at one of your ports. So you may recognize this area. We've got the Pixels photo galleries located inside here. These doors will take you to the midship elevator and stairwell area. See, they have a couple loungers out here in case someone wants to relax here outside. I would recommend bundling up. It's usually pretty windy out here, but you do have a great view close to the water. Through these windows is the seating area for the Java Blue Cafe. There's a set of doors that you can use to enter and exit here as well. Again, you can see this whole area is muster station A. These first set of doors will take you to the forward elevator bank and stairwell, and the second set of doors just takes you right into that entrance to the Luminosa Theater. You can actually curve around just a little bit more forward here, but you can't loop around. It does become crew only area, as you can see here. But what that means is we are done with deck 3, and we're going to go down one more time down to deck 2. And we'll start again up front here by the Luminosa Theater. Entering the Luminosa Theater here on deck 2, there are some restrooms over to the right-hand side. Same on the port side entrance, and you can take these stairs up to deck 3 in case you're looking for seating there. I mentioned the theater here will play host to a multitude of events that includes your playlist production shows like Flick, America Rocks, and Vintage Pop. The nights that these 3 productions take place, there's 2 showings each evening at 7:30 and 9:30. There's drink service available from waiters and waitresses as you wait for the shows to start and right as the show begins. This front row here typically will be blocked off or reserved. A lot of times the performances actually come out into the audience a little bit and they'll use this front row. So if you're arriving late and see it open thinking you can grab a seat, you'll waste your time walking all the way down. But you can sneak up these stairs and find a spot maybe on deck 3. You'd also find in this theater the Fun Aboard, Fun Ashore show, educational shows by the Naturalists on Board, bingo, military appreciation gathering, game shows hosted by the cruise director, including Love and Marriage Show. Don't miss that one if you're 18 and up. And The World Works Here, where the kids from Camp Ocean can even get on stage and perform with the playlist production cast. Pretty cool stuff. We'll exit the theater. You can see just ahead, if it doesn't get too blurry there, Ocean Plaza. We're going to loop around, just check out the stairs here. We like to show you as much as you can. So these stairs will take you up, of course, to deck 3. And you can see the portside entrance of the Luminosa Theater. If you're waiting for the doors open time for one of the shows to get one of those prime seats up front, I recommend waiting on this port side rather than the starboard side. Most people just gravitate to that starboard side based off the flow of the ship. We'll enter Ocean Plaza, and if you've been on any other Carnival ships, you'll notice this Ocean Plaza is huge in comparison to other ships. There is a ton of space here. What happens in Ocean Plaza? Well, a lot of things do. Karaoke, trivia, you've got music, dancing. The rock band will play here each night. They were awesome on this cruise. Of course, there's a bar for your delicious drinks. Lots of TVs in here to catch a sporting event. You don't have to be in the Smoky Casino to catch some sports, which is nice here on this ship. Just look at the size of that dance floor. It's huge. I didn't film, but I referenced earlier that spiral staircase up to just outside of Limelight Lounge. And some more of that beautiful Italian artwork displayed here. I mentioned the water shuttles earlier. If you do have to do that in Juneau or any other port, this area is where you can pick up the passes for that water shuttle. If you don't have a pre-booked Carnival excursion, if you want to be on one of the first non-excursion water shuttles, you need to pick up a pass to get off early. Next up, you'll see the Bonsai Sushi Express counter. Kind of odd placement here right next to the casino, but it is here in case you are hungry for some fresh sashimi or sushi rolls. It is an additional charge, but not too pricey for the quality of sushi that you're getting. Here's a first look at the Luminosa Casino. They do have a wad of cash claw available to all the suckers out there. They have all these slot machines turned off here on embarkation day, so it doesn't have that pizzazz of all the flashing and glowing lights when they're turned on. As far as table games goes, it's pretty standard compared to other US-based Carnival ships. The craps table is not available when the ship is down in Australia, so they will remove that after it's done with the Alaska season and replace it with a poker table, if I'm not mistaken. Other than that, your standard table games, Blackjack, Fun 21, Let It Ride, 3-Card Prime. See the cashier's cage, or desk, I guess, here in the back. You have the casino bar available with a few TVs. No smoking at the bar. To smoke in the casino, you have to be playing at a designated machine or a designated smoking table. They don't like filming in the casino, so I'll jump right out of here. You'll see some restrooms just on this side of the casino. And just down the hall, you'll find the Warehouse Arcade, the casino for the kids. Pretty small, but it fits the size of the ship as well as the kid population on these Alaska sailings. Exiting out of the casino, you'll next encounter the art gallery. This is kind of an open air art gallery, meaning they use the lounge space to display and store some of the art that they auction off across the sailing. We'll peek in and check out the midship elevators and stairwell. Back out through the main promenade here, you'll see a couple of these sparkly art pieces. Very beautiful. We'll see a few more of these down the way. Lots of seating up against the windows here on the starboard side. These doors are actually part of the exits that you'll take if you're using deck 2 to exit into a port. But when traveling, they'll use this space to set up a lot of the photo opportunities from the pixel photographers. Now we're finally down on the lobby area. You'll see the bar. They have a little stage back behind the bar where solo musicians and duos will typically play in the afternoons and evenings. Let's finally take a close-up look at this big, beautiful, bubbly bronze statue they call Donna. You can find out more about her and her creation on the ship, but ever since she's been in here, since the ship's been in service, people have come up and rubbed her booty for good luck, maybe in the casino or just in life. You can tickle her toes, maybe if the booty slap is not your thing. Just a unique carryover from the Costa Luminosa that you just don't quite often see on the Carnival fleet of ships. On this port side, you'll find the Carnival Adventures desk. If you haven't booked a shore excursion, you can visit the folks here to get set up with something in one of your ports. Depending on which way the ship is facing when docked, you might use these doors to enter and exit in a port. And here you see the guest services desk. We only had to visit them a couple times. They were always fast and efficient, helping us out. We'll turn around, get a closer look at the stage for the musicians that play here in the lobby. They were all top notch on our sailing. We began the ship tour up on deck 11. When we got to the middle of the ship there, we actually went up to deck 12 and we peered down into the skylights of this atrium. So no better time now here on deck 2 to do the opposite and look all the way up back to where we began. But we're not done with the tour yet. We have a little bit more left to go here on the aft part of deck 2. So you'll see more lounge space to listen to the music, enjoy a drink, or maybe have a meeting spot for fellow passengers. More pixel photo opportunities took place all in this area here. You may recall seeing several of these TVs on the navigation channel up in the Lido Marketplace. They have the large version down here at the lobby area. There's no better place to have these on than an Alaska cruise. What's coming up, what islands are around the corner in the inside passage. More sparkly art to catch your eye. If you see a photographer named Suki on the ship, tell him Lance, Brandy, and Charlie said hi from the Nog Vlog. And be sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel where he shares his adventures as a photographer on Carnival Cruise Line. Next up, we'll find that bottom level of the Altair nightclub, and this is the main level where you'll have most of the seating, a bar, the dance floor, of course, the DJ booth. You have some tiny stairs that do take you up to deck 3 if you want to go up there. On an Alaska sailing, I don't think the nightclub is as much of a draw as it is maybe on your Caribbean and Southern destination sailings. That being said, they still utilize it, so it's there for those folks that want to come and have a good time. We'll head back out. There's a different exit in case you don't want to use the weird cylindrical chrome entrance. Next up, you'll find the Piano Bar 88. They do have wait staff that do come around and take orders from people just hanging out in the lounge area. This is the actual bar where you can get your drinks. And of course, you'll notice the bar is actually separated by the walkway to the Villa restaurant. It's quite perplexing that even when this was a Costa branded ship that they had this layout this way and didn't put the entertainer back in the corner to maybe make it a more intimate atmosphere. It ruined the enjoyment of the performances, but I think it just does make it a little bit awkward with the people coming in and out of the restaurant area crossing in front of the performer. Some of the solo guitarists would play up on this stage as well. And of course, if you were waiting for your table to be ready for your time dining, this area was a huge plus to be able to enjoy the music, grab a drink during that wait period. We'll conclude this ship tour with a peek inside Deck 2 of the Villa restaurant. But first I want to show you the Archipelago restaurant annex. This particular annex, I'm not sure why people sat in here versus the Villa restaurant. My assumption is this was used for maybe priority seating for Diamond members when the wait times in the Villa restaurant were a little bit longer. Not really sure, but we did see people sitting in here having the same experience as in the main dining room. Definitely not a separate restaurant of its own. So we'll spin back around and head inside the Vila restaurant. We already talked about many of the features of the main dining room. So I want to use this time to do a shameless plug of our video where we go through and review all the food that we had across the ship, especially here in the main dining room. We give instant reactions. We'll put a link to that in the description below. So that concludes our ship tour here of the Carnival Luminosa. I hope you learned something. If you did, do us a favor and smash that like button. It really does help the video get promoted here on YouTube. Feel free to subscribe to the Nog Vlog if you like what you saw and want to see more of the daily vlogs from this Carnival Luminosa sailing. If you have any questions about the ship, leave us a comment below. If not, let us know when you're sailing on the Carnival Luminosa. We love for the comments in our ship tour videos to be a place where future passengers can come share when they're sailing on that ship and what they're most hyped about for their cruise. With that, all that's left to be said is thanks for watching and thanks for coming to take a trip with us.